guys aren't wrong with that.
I mean, you guys definitely like paved the way for us. So we're just following in your footsteps almost. I do think that our generation has a lot of pressure on our career and education, and I appreciate it. It is very stressful. My parents want me to have a good job and go to a good school. My grandparents want the same, but it's because they want me to have what they didn't have.
I wholeheartedly agree that you guys had it way harder, but you guys were lucky in the point that you knew who the racists were. You knew the KKK was down the street over there. You knew because they was in your face with it. Now, in the face of technology and the new age, people are way covert about it. They hide it. I've had somebody comment monkey under my thing and I didn't even know who it was. I'm only 17. I'm not prepared to have somebody on the internet who doesn't know who I am call me derogatory slurs or, threaten to kill me. You know what it's like to experience overt racism. I don't, but I need you guys in situations like that because I don't know what to do.
I do have to say one thing that I kind of disagree with. I feel as though the younger generation doesn't have as much guidance or a specific goal that you guys had. You guys had people like Malcolm X, you guys had people like Fred Hampton. You've had people like that. Who do we have? Obama, maybe? We don't really have those leaders to guide us in a certain direction.
I disagree. I think you are the leaders. People are going to tell you that you have to aspire to be somewhere, but Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X both died before they were 40. Yeah. They were the leaders when they were your age. So you guys are the leaders. And who you hang around. See, I hung around Big Monster, Tiny Killer, Little Shooter, Baby One Punch. You guys not hanging around them. You're hanging around people who are inspired and motivated to do the same things you're doing. So the leaders are here. I don't think you recognize them because they're right next to you.
Protests should be peaceful.
Absolutely not.
I've seen in the 1992 riots and also in the recent uprisings that a lot of opportunists were there. And it was the opportunity to tear up our own communities. The emotions, the drive, the passion creates something that turns violent, it turns ugly, and the rest of the world is able to see that there's a lack of control. Let's work on finding a solution rather than just destroying the community.
I think one of the greatest examples is the bus boycott. The world runs on economics. It's all about the money. Hurt them in the wallet. You can march till you're blue in the face, but unless they're going to lose money, then it doesn't affect them as much as the bottom line does, that these people are going to actually stop buying our products. Affect the money, and I think you'll get a much longer reaching effect.
And you seem so peaceful.
I think when we were going through the Black Lives Matter protests this past year, the peaceful protests were never seen. We would see a 10-second clip of it and be like, oh, there was a peaceful protest an hour ago. Although I don't agree with violence, I don't want anyone to get killed or hurt, I do think that it brings a little bit more awareness to what we're fighting for.
I agree to an extent. I am a product of the Watts riots. We lived at 115th and Central. Our friends were all in those riots. They'd knock on the door and tell my mother, hey, Miss Addie, keep the kids inside. Things are getting bad out here. I don't agree with everything that happened in the Watts riots because there was a lot of destruction, but the Watts riots are still referenced today. My father always said the squeaky wheel gets the oil, but I don't want anybody to be hurt. I don't want to see a repeat of what we saw at the Capitol. None of us want to see any kind of nonsense like that. We want to have a message with what you're doing.
Yeah, to some extent I completely agree, but at the same time I'm a wholehearted believer in civil disobedience. For example, the Founding Fathers, though I am very critical of them, they used violent tactics to get from Britain to be independent. This is just property damage. I don't really necessarily care if a building gets burned down, if a cop car gets burned down, because how many people have been killed by the hands of the police and nothing has happened?
The whole reason why people protest is because they're upset about something. Black people have every single right to be upset, and I don't think that we would have got the killers of George Floyd convicted had we been out there just holding a sign, please convict. No, we need to apply pressure to the government, because if they think that we're not gonna...
It's all about surviving.
Generational trauma is real.
That's it. post-slavery trauma
Yeah.
went into my grandparents, who taught my mother, and my mother taught me. It's really important to know that it has been passed on. My mother beat me because her mother beat her.
Yes.
Her mother beat her because her mother beat her.
Yes.
Because they did not want the masters on the plantations to beat their children. So they said, no, beg them, please, no, I'm gonna teach them. And they get a whip and go beat their own kids so that someone else wouldn't. And this is passed down. This is handed down to me, even where, I said I have 12 children. Well, 7 of the oldest ones, they too got beatings, where the last 5, they got talking tos, they got timeouts, and we go sit on the porch. It's a different concept, and it is definitely handed down.
Yeah.
So
I
it goes
agree.
back all the way to slavery.
I would take it back to
That's crazy.
pre-slavery.
Adding on to what you say, that's kind of why a lot of stress-induced illnesses, it runs in Black families, is because we're constantly under this pressure and stress. Mental health isn't something that Black people can afford to deal with because you have a whole bunch of other issues to deal with in the day-to-day life. You can't afford to go see a therapist because you got to get them bills paid.
Right.
And I just want to say that we were told you will deal with things that you've never dealt with before, so you're going to have to, find your way. And just dealt with it maybe very privately, or go to church and listen to the sermons, and let the pastor tell us, what's all this stuff that's going on.
Yes, a lot of people went to church and dealt with stuff. Other people went outside the liquor store. So Mad Dog 2020, Cisco, St. Ives, Old English became the healing. They dealt with it through alcohol or substance abuse.
Living in the United States is a privilege.
I mean, yes, there's a million flaws in our system, but we do have all these resources and programs. Some kids don't even get to read, have a book,
you're
have a
right.
pencil. So I'm lucky to be here. That's all. Yeah.
I have been fortunate enough, I've traveled all over the world. Vietnam, Singapore, Japan, China, Italy, Rome, France, and there's no place like the United States because we have a middle class. Almost everywhere in the world, it's rich or poor. There's no Section 8, there's no WIC, there's no AFDC. You just on your ass.
I've been to other countries as well, and it really matters what you value. Like, when I go to places like the Philippines, yes, they're poor over there, but their family bonds are like this. They are happy. Who do you see who's working a 9-to-5 job behind a desk, happy with what they live with? People in the suburbs doing the same thing every day for 40 years, just having kids, staying home, going to work. And I feel like the perception that you guys carry is was the result of the indoctrination of the American dream. You're taught that you're gonna get a white picket fence with a nice house in the suburbs, and that's why so many people come here, is because we sell America like this is a utopia, a great place, but then you come here and then you see immigrants suffering. So they come here expecting better, only to have a different set of struggles.
I understand how you feel, but it's one thing to say it,